Breaking news tonight. A secret immigration plan from Starmer's government has just leaked, and palace insiders say it triggered a full-scale royal emergency. The leak came 1 minute ago, and documents reveal a plan so extreme it's already sending shockwaves through Westminster. According to sources inside the Home Office, a whistleblower sent encrypted files to 3 major UK newspapers, exposing figures and projections that even loyal Labour MPs privately describe as political suicide. When King Charles first read page 7 of the leaked documents, sources say he went pale, summoned his private secretary and demanded an urgent unscheduled meeting with the Prime Minister. No modern monarch has staged such a direct intervention in decades. Those in the palace describe the King's response as a mixture of fury and disbelief, signalling the emergence of a constitutional flashpoint. At 3:02 p.m. yesterday, a senior civil servant arrived at the Telegraph offices in London carrying a brown envelope marked Cabinet Eyes Only. Inside were 47 pages of Starmer's internal immigration projections, revealing the government's true numbers for the next 3 years, far removed from the sanitised figures fed to the public. The memo included a note from the whistleblower, reportedly handwritten, "The British public deserves the truth." Within 90 minutes, phones across Westminster were ringing off the hook as MPs, civil servants and palace officials scrambled to comprehend the scale of the leak. Insiders say Starmer's internal message to cabinet ministers, "We need reform that reflects modern Britain," was starkly contrasted by the numbers themselves. These figures, insiders claim, were not just reform, they were revolutionary, threatening to strain communities, schools and the NHS beyond recognition. In the next 14 minutes, we'll break down what the documents actually contain, why King Charles reacted so strongly, and why this leak could reshape British politics and the monarchy forever. The leaked cabinet memo reveals figures so extreme that palace insiders describe the reaction as palpable shock and disbelief. Starmer's plan projects 843,000 new arrivals per year by 2027, but the real number could be far higher. Hidden in Appendix C, government analysts calculated family reunification multipliers. Each new arrival could sponsor an average of 2.3 additional relatives over 5 years, meaning the potential influx rises to 1.95 million people annually, a population larger than Birmingham arriving every year. Palace sources report that King Charles reviewed projections for housing demand, NHS strain and school capacity, and described the numbers as social engineering on a scale that will fracture the nation. Sources say the King was not just angry. He felt personally betrayed, believing the government had promised measured reform and community consultation. "This is not governance," Charles reportedly said in private. "This is a demographic experiment threatening our social fabric." Palace lawyers were called immediately to advise on constitutional powers, as officials feared the government's plan could trigger national instability. Meanwhile, NHS hospitals and schools were already under extreme pressure. Emergency rooms reported 12-hour wait times, maternity wards were overflowing, and wards operating at 137% capacity faced impossible new demands. Veteran Dennis Morrison of Portsmouth waited 9 months for hip surgery, and hospital staff warned of cascading delays under the proposed plan. The scale of Starmer's projections left even traditionally supportive unions calling for urgent scrutiny. The Royal College of Nursing called the numbers mathematically impossible to sustain, while teachers across England reported classrooms with dozens of different languages, making basic instruction nearly impossible. The King's advisers warned that if the plan proceeded, social tension could erupt nationwide, further heightening the urgency of his unprecedented intervention. At 6:30 p.m, Starmer arrived at Buckingham Palace for what was scheduled as a brief 15-minute courtesy meeting. That meeting would last 97 minutes, with palace insiders describing the atmosphere as icy tense and unprecedented. At one point, Starmer attempted to leave early, but King Charles remained seated, reportedly saying, "Prime Minister, I have not dismissed you." For those unfamiliar with royal protocol, this was extraordinary. The monarch does not entertain early exits. He asserts control, and in this moment, Charles was effectively drawing a constitutional red line. The King demanded detailed explanations for the government's immigration projections, pressing ministers on community resilience, NHS capacity, and the social cohesion of already strained towns. Constitutional experts immediately recognised the gravity. This was the most direct royal intervention in politics since the abdication crisis of 1936. Charles was not merely expressing concern, he was asserting institutional authority to prevent national destabilisation. Sources claim that throughout the meeting, Starmer attempted to argue economic necessity, but the King countered with precise, icy questions about fairness, public trust and social stability. By the end, Starmer was isolated, frustrated and visibly unnerved, facing a monarch who had taken an active stance on policy oversight, something not seen in modern Britain. Palace lawyers remained on call late into the night, reviewing whether Charles could demand policy revisions or invoke constitutional remedies in the event of national instability. This unprecedented encounter signals that Britain is not just witnessing a political crisis, it is now confronting a royal emergency, with the King stepping directly into the political arena to defend national stability. The leaked plan immediately sparked national outrage. Social media erupted with viral videos of overcrowded schools, packed hospitals and housing shortages, with thousands of citizens protesting in Manchester, Birmingham, Leeds and Newcastle. Labour MPs scrambled to distance themselves. Junior ministers demanded urgent meetings with the chief whip, and WhatsApp groups buzzed with panic about electoral disaster. International reactions ranged from shock to open criticism. Poland praised British families resisting demographic replacement. France and Italy questioned the government's priorities. Hungary offered to host summits on national sovereignty and border protection. Meanwhile, Reform UK capitalised on Labour's misstep, with membership and donations surging to historic highs. Former Labour councillors in Yorkshire and the Midlands publicly switched parties on regional television, signalling a major shift in political balance. The optics for Starmer were catastrophic. Financial markets responded immediately. Sterling fell 2.3%. Billions wiped from the FTSE 100 and pension funds suffered steep losses. Polling showed Labour slipping to third place nationally, a historic low in modern UK politics. Internally, ministers were admitting privately, he's lost the public, lost the palace, and he's losing us. The King's direct involvement has exposed fractures in Labour, intensified public scrutiny, and elevated political tension across the UK. The palace's intervention is now the centrepiece of the crisis, with the monarchy actively steering the nation away from what it views as a demographic catastrophe. By the following morning, the full scale of the crisis became apparent. Labour's internal polling showed support plummeting to 22%, with even its traditional strongholds abandoning the party in historic numbers. Cabinet messages reveal ministers openly debating no-confidence votes, leadership challenges and emergency strategy sessions. King Charles requested another urgent meeting, this time demanding full impact assessments and ministerial accountability. Constitutional lawyers worked overtime analysing whether the monarch could formally request policy reviews or intervene in extreme circumstances. Communities across the UK are united in fury. Social media campaigns are exploding, and Reform UK is surging as a legitimate opposition force. Westminster is paralysed. Downing Street aides describe Starmer as isolated, defiant and increasingly finished. The big questions remain. Will Starmer resign before being forced out? Did King Charles just prevent a demographic disaster, or has he stepped beyond traditional constitutional limits? Britain watches as its political establishment cracks in real time, with the monarchy at the centre of an unprecedented royal emergency. Tomorrow morning, new revelations about the King's 97-minute confrontation will make today's crisis look like a warm-up act. That's the full story behind the leaked Starmer plan and King Charles's unprecedented royal intervention. If this shook you as much as it did us, hit subscribe to stay on top of every explosive update. Like the video if you want more behind-the-scenes political insights. Share it with friends who need to see what's really happening in Westminster, and drop your thoughts in the comments. We read every single one. The crisis isn't over. Tomorrow, new revelations about what was said in that 97-minute palace meeting will surface, and they could change everything. Don't miss it.